back with more Angel. This is episode 19 of season 4, and I'm very excited to continue this season, and we're going to be finishing it off as well before we return to Buffy to finish off that season. So obviously this cycle is going to be 19, 20, and 21, and then the cycle after that of reactions is finishing off Angel with the last episode of this season, then another episode of Buffy, and then we're doing the Buffy finale week. So yeah, we're really rounding off now. I'm really intrigued to see where this is going to go with these final 4 episodes. Obviously Jasmine's out and about being all Gina, which is good. Her face is rotten, which is bad. She's enthralled everyone except Fred, so there's hope, so that's good. But she's now a fugitive on the run because everyone's kind of coming after her, it would seem, which is bad. So either way, I feel like this is going to be a really good chance for Fred to shine and get lots to do. And I'd love it if this episode kind of really focused on her and her journey, maybe away from everyone else. Just because it's Fred, like, you know. But either way, I think we've gone a very interesting direction for this last little bit of the season now that Jasmine's actually around and doing stuff. And maybe Cordelia can even help out and wake up. You know, I'd be intrigued to see, like, if she wakes up, would she be under Jasmine's thrall as well? Or would she break away from it somehow? Because we don't exactly know why Fred saw through Jasmine eventually. I'm sure that will get explained. But the fact that Connor was so easily kind of manipulated by her as well makes me think maybe Cordelia would just be at the same time. But I guess we'll see. Who knows? But either way, very excited to continue. I feel like this is the first time I've watched Angel since, you know, everything happened with Charisma Carpenter's statement and stuff. So full support for her, obviously. It's kind of so sad to see what she and a few other Buffyverse actresses kind of seem to have gone through. But yeah, we're going to carry on regardless, because outside of all that, I think we will still have a very deep love for these shows and these characters. So without further ado, let's get into the next one. I can smell the copyright claim. Oh. Help. Guess you live in the sewers now. Imagine all the people under her enthrall.
I thought Our Lady of the Perpetual Seabreeze was the real deal till the divine Miss J walked right through that door and into my ass. Well, which is where my heart is. Physiologically.
Just look into their hearts.
Or their ass, apparently.
Sometimes it's right on their face.
Or in their ass, apparently.
Sí.
Su bigote te da fuerza y dignidad.
Muchas gracias.
Why would anybody reject love?
Maybe because she has a history of doing that.
Whatever the reason is, we have to find her.
Will you join us?
Yes. Thank you.
Bless you all for coming.
You're gonna eat them or something.
Mass hypnosis. You wondered if it was possible.
Hey, I know this guy.
Hard? Are you kidding? It's great.
You gonna tell your face that?
Yeah. Look at me. I've never been happier.
Okay, Captain Holt.
I know what you're doing. You want to fight fire with fire. We need to trust that Jasmine's love will reach the rest of the world just like it reached us.
What a wonderful world that would be.
Happy day.
Tie me to a tree and then run away. What? You know. So I'd have to escape and then find her.
Oh.
One time it only took me 5 days. 5 days.
Oh.
Jasmine wants us back at the hotel.
Before the time of man.
At least those two are getting along. I mean, every cloud.
I want y'all to close your eyes. Now.
Does it almost feel like nothing's changed
Picture
at
what she
all?
looks like. Her
I do that a
face,
lot.
The sound of her voice.
Okay, Jasmine may be having a point
She
here.
looks like.
Uh-oh.
I see her.
That is kind of creepy. I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Whoa! Oh, wow. Okay. That was unfortunate. Oh!
Don't be afraid, Fred.
Don't be afraid! You're on fire!
What I'm saying is,
Hot water just went out down on the 3rd floor.
And there's a plumber in the lobby who can help us.
that's what I'm saying. Now, I need to rest.
See, that's weird. They're basically all just becoming one person. Oh, God. Okay, you live in the forest now. Off you go. Oh, oh. Well.
Can you give me a time frame? Because I got a bladder the size of a jujube.
Shut up!
I feel like a cat. I just want to, like, play with the things, his fronds or whatever they are.
Tonight is open mic night.
Oh, heck.
That's right, love bugs.
Same. Huh.
How happy you made us.
Doing this every night.
Jesus.
You're here because of Jasmine? Me too. I'm a fugitive too.
Wow. Amazing.
Team up.
Too big. I'm big. Hey, these yours? Because I've never seen them. Why would anyone?
Handy snack, I guess.
So, not a vegetarian.
Oh, that's horrible. Finger food. Yeah.
Finger food?
Ah! You little... I thought you were going to be nice. Well, that's what you get. Dare you touch Fred. What?
Here I am. Come and get me.
Fred,
Oh.
you know that I love you, don't you, Fred?
Funny way of showing it,
And
Gina.
there's nothing you can do or say to make me stop loving you.
Same.
I hope he can forgive me.
Whoa. What's the plan, Fred?
Look at her.
Oh.
He's been infected.
Okay. So if you get covered in her blood, you can see through her.
I'm sorry, Connor. He's as dead to us as Fred.
I mean, he felt that way about him before all this, so... Bloody genius, Fred.
We need to clean this up.
I'll do it.
No.
You can't afford them to touch the blood.
Okay.
Oh, man. Ooh, cake! Maybe things aren't so bad. It is, in a twisted way, kind of nice to see this place so full of people.
You. And you. Come with me. Connor.
I like that she used like a bullet as a solution, and I think the bookshop was called the Magic Bullet.
I miss her so much. I never...
I know. It's been over a week and I still cry.
Oh, man.
Part of me wishes I still believed the lie.
It's interesting that they still kind of feel that connection
I'm
to
not
her.
exactly clear on
Jasmine's blood. I think it must have gotten my system when I was trying to get the blood off her blouse.
Yeah.
I'm not like you.
Yes, you are.
Not a champion.
Yes, you are.
Everything I see says different.
We need another way. What?
It's pretty horrible. But maybe...
Take off your clothes.
Oh, come on, Angel. Cordelia's blood? 'Cause it's her mum.
So sorry.
Oh! Oh, what are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing to the whole... I'm playing! Oh!
Have some blood. Jesus.
You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Well, you have to say that. You're her dad.
I ate them.
Cool.
Oh, God. Bones and all, I mean. Ugh. Oh. Oh, boy. Well, at least it's Lorne knocking Wesley out for a change.
Everything we believed. Deception. And how do we convince several million other people that...
Nah, Wesley's never believed false prophecies before.
Impossible. How do we fight something this huge and powerful?
I don't know yet. But what I do know is that
In 3 episodes, ideally.
I've kidnapped him before.
Oh, boy. Oh. I mean, does it need to be that big a cut? I mean...
They're here!
I knew it didn't work.
They're here!
Give Connor a bloody break, man. Okay, another really good episode. As I expected, the focus was on Fred for a lot of it, which I'm here for, basically. And to get to see her go out on her own, try and survive in this very strange situation that she finds herself in, because anyone could be, you know, under Jasmine's influence, and therefore she could use them to kind of see where she is, which I think is a really cool idea. It's kind of just like every person in LA is basically a security camera for Jasmine, so Fred kind of needs to tread carefully. But she did a bit of social stuff, like with that bookseller, like the bookshop owner guy, who's an actor I've seen in a few things. I've seen him in Suits and Once Upon a Time. So that was cool to see him pop up, because I like him. He did a really good job in this, especially because I'm so used to seeing him like be like a proper moustache twirling villain. He wasn't quite that, you know. He was kind of manipulated by Jasmine and everything in this one. He seems to be quite big into the conspiracy theories and everything. Now he just doesn't really care about that. And you know, it's a good way of showcasing that Fred's been, you know, actively trying to find out how Jasmine's kind of influencing everyone, investigating hypnosis and everything. And you know, researching books and stuff is kind of what she does best. So I liked that they could focus on that alongside her kind of blending in a bit and pretending with the bookseller that she was just, you know, trying to actually spread the word more about Jasmine's influence as opposed to trying to find ways of stopping her. So doing that, noticing that guy had a gun, so she could set up like a whole trap for Jasmine and Angel to convert Angel back to the correct side and make him see how Jasmine really is. I thought that was really clever. I like the idea that if, you know, you get Jasmine's blood kind of crossed with yours, you can kind of see the truth behind her. Because it's interesting, really, because her thing is to kind of make her one with you. She's kind of talking about them as like they're this big hive mind now, and they're kind of joined together. And I think even more joined and connected is like that swapping of blood, which of course is kind of like, gross. But the fact that it's such, like, that's the deepest level of connection you could probably have in that sense, without it getting dirty. And that's actually what makes you see her for who she really is. So it just leads into this idea that, you know, all this is a fraud and a manipulation. Just false closeness, this false idea of like a cult worshipping her. So I guess I kind of want to go back now actually and watch the last episode with Sam Witwer's character, and to see if he like got his, like, her blood crossed with his somehow, or if there was another reason he kind of saw through Jasmine. I'm not quite sure. It'd be cool to kind of go back and see if there was a bit of setup for this reveal there, or if that was a different way that he saw through her. I'm not quite sure. But still, I liked that reveal. I thought that was very clever. And it makes a lot of sense with like Fred washing off the blood, and that was like the moment where she saw through Jasmine's kind of facade. And then I love that once again they can just show how cool and intelligent Fred is, and she set up this whole plan. And once she realised exactly what it was that made her see through Jasmine, she could then orchestrate the thing with the bullet. And just like the shop was called like the Magic Bullet Books or something. And then she kind of used, it wasn't exactly a magic bullet, but you know, it was kind of the key to getting Angel back on side. And now everyone but Connor is back on side. So yeah, it's cool that they didn't drag on it's everyone versus Fred for ages and ages. I think if that like lasted into like the finale or something, it would have been like, oh my god, you know, they're really, you know, I think that would have killed the momentum if everyone still wasn't on side, or at least someone wasn't also now on Fred's side of the fight by the end of the season. So I'm glad that wasn't the case, and they very quickly basically converted everyone back. Didn't work on Connor, which is interesting. I kind of figured that was going to be the case because they just don't like to give Connor his own free will in this show, apparently. Maybe one day he'll be his own character, maybe next season. So that's kind of a shame. I kind of predicted it in a sense. I guess it's just because like he's her biological father, so there's something different there. So maybe it wouldn't work with Cordelia because she already has that blood. So I'm guessing that's the reason it didn't work. Maybe they'll, you know, really clarify that, or maybe you're just supposed to take that from it. But it's a shame because why does Connor always have to be under someone else's influence and not just be his own person? Maybe that's the point of the character, but for me, I just don't find that interesting. I actually want to get to know Connor, not get to know enthralled Connor, which is kind of the only person we've ever met. But still, on the positive side, even though it was orchestrated and manipulated, seeing Angel and Connor kind of get along was fun. I did like the sequence of all those guys at the open mic night at the hotel, and to just see it so full and packed with people, it's kind of sad that this is what caused that. Just kind of has such an extended family of people in that hotel and just fill it up completely. You know, triple booked rooms and stuff, but it comes from an interesting, ugly reason. Even though, you know, on the outside it's all shiny, happy people and happy music. Everyone seems good and blissful, but it really is like the personification of ignorance is bliss, because they don't know what Jasmine's really like. And I like that it's not they've forgotten their worries and anything that may have caused them stress and everything in their day-to-day lives. It's that Jasmine hasn't removed those like memories of that at all. She's just made it so that they don't care. She's like, oh, I know the FBI or whatever, CIA is still watching me through the chips in my head, but I just don't care anymore. I think that's almost worse than just forgetting it entirely. Because there's that awareness of it, but the fact that even if you try, you don't care about it. There's something kind of creepy about that, I think, as opposed to just, oh yeah, your memory's been wiped. They still have to kind of live with it, and it's almost torturous in a way, but also not. So just Jasmine's methods, I think, are very unique and interesting, and the fact that she's eating people is quite something. It's quite the diet. I'm glad we didn't see it in too much gory detail, but I liked how they built up throughout the episode that she was like taking people away and then we never saw them again. And then when she was like, oh, I ate them, Connor's like, cool. I don't know exactly, is that just like how she gets sustenance or something? Is that her delicious nutrients, nom? Or does that like help her heal? I'm not quite sure. But, I mean, gross, basically. But still, we've got a bit, a bit more of an insight into just how Jasmine works, how she ticks, and some of her weaknesses in this one. So I like that there's that little dash of hope that something can be done about it, especially because everyone but Connor now has kind of seen the truth. I liked that sequence. I liked Lorne finding out early on when he went to like praise Cordelia and like thank her. It's interesting that they kind of built a shrine around her. And then he had to kind of keep playing the part for a little bit to get Wesley and Gunn away. And did not go well for Connor, but there you go. And yeah, just to see Lorne knock out Wesley instead of it being the other way around. Nice little change, even though that whole scene in season 3 with Wesley and Lorne, when Wesley's like singing to baby Connor and Lorne can like read what he's about to do. Still one of my favourite scenes in the Buffyverse. I think that's so bloody good, so tense. And I don't think it's like a callback or anything to that, because we didn't really see it on screen happen, but it's fun, so I enjoy that. And I think Lorne can kind of, he always sells that charisma so well anyway, to see him kind of fake it was an interesting thing to see the differences. Especially because he's already kind of got a bit of practice with that earlier in the season, when he was pretending everything was fine with his new life in Vegas, but actually it wasn't, and he was kind of sending all these cries for help. So he's quite good at that anyway, because he's had to do it for a few weeks when he was in Las Vegas. So I enjoyed that as well. And yeah, the whole thing with the demon, I actually quite liked the idea of like Fred and this random demon teaming up, and they could have worked something out. But ultimately, they didn't go for that, and he was just evil and eating hands, and she just killed him. So ultimately, you could have cut that out and nothing would have changed. So I think that was just kind of padding. It was just there. It was enjoyable, but you didn't need that at all. I don't think it really didn't have an impact, apart from to make the episode like 42 minutes or whatever the running time was. But again, I don't mind it. It was a bit of fun, and it shows a bit of Fred's capability, I guess, like physically being able to take the guy out. And an interesting design for the creature, I will say that. I liked his little wiggly frondy things. I was like, ooh. So yeah, good design, but ultimately I don't think that scene added anything at all apart from padding. And yeah, the idea that Jasmine is kind of forming this deep connection with all her followers, and it's like using like a hive mind security system kind of thing. I imagine that's going to be set up for maybe some big payoff in the finale to make it, you know, if you affect one of them, you affect them all or something. You can like poison the well. I feel like that could be key in stopping Jasmine ultimately. I'm still hoping something happens with Cordelia and she kind of wakes up and smells the perfume and punches Jasmine into a hell. I don't know. But yeah, she's just kind of laying around. All she did in this episode was grab Angel's hand. So there is some hope for her. There may be something still active in there. And the idea that they like took her blood to convert the others back. I thought that was quite a clever idea as well. And the fact that they were saying, you know, oh God, this is so wrong, but we need to do that, makes a lot of sense that they kind of struggle with that. And then Angel was kind of a bit reluctant to do it once she kind of physically responded to him. But yeah, I want to see Cordelia, like, show her, but also I'm kind of thinking about behind the scenes stuff now, and I'm like, well, I'm not expecting much, to be honest. So yeah, we'll kind of see where that may or may not go. I think maybe Cordelia could be key, if anything, to getting Connor out of this and making him see what Jasmine for what she really is. Maybe. I feel like since the blood thing didn't work, the only other defining thing Connor's really had this season, apart from Hazing Angel, is loving Cordelia. So maybe that could come into it somehow. I'm not sure. Maybe if like Jasmine threatens Cordelia's life or comes up with a bullshit reason that they have to like kill her or dispose of her, maybe he'll like snap and be like, whoa, okay, time to kill my own daughter. But I don't know. I just want him to be his own person at long bloody last, and to just get some therapy, basically. He needs to get over this trauma, because my God, poor guy. Yeah, I know it makes sense that it didn't work on him, but I'm kind of like, oh, it would have been cool to see him be one of the ones fighting against her now. And maybe if they just left like someone like Wesley or something, it didn't work on for whatever reason, or Lorne, who didn't work on for whatever reason because he was a demon. Just there was like someone else instead, and then it would give Connor more time to, you know, have some more scenes with Gunn, because I really enjoyed that pairing. Have some scenes with Angel and be like, wow, we kind of got along well there. Like, it's possible for us. Let's kind of work on that relationship between us. Especially now this whole kind of Cordelia Jasmine thing's out in the open. And we know exactly how it all came about. That would be fun, but that's not what they're going for, which is fair. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with all of that. But overall, another really, really solid episode. Love the focus on Fred and her intellect, her planned like convert Angel back was really clever. I liked the reveal about how Jasmine's kind of operating and the fact that her blood is key to this, and therefore Cordelia's blood was as well because she gave birth to her. Angel's plot with that, very clever. And yeah, the idea of that, this big hive mind and breaking the spell. We kind of have a lot of people converted now, but it didn't work on Connor. He's calling for help, big cliffhanger. How are they going to get out of this one? I don't know, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next with that. And yeah, I just thought, if anything, the bit with the demon was just unnecessary padding that we didn't need, and I just want to see Cordelia bloody do something. I get that this would have taken it out of her, but if she's just asleep for the entire season, I'm going to be like at least something in the finale, not just like, oh, grab his hand and then that's your role, because you're still technically main cast, but you're not doing anything. But again, behind the scenes, I'm not getting my hopes up. But yeah, really good episode overall. Looking forward to seeing how they're going to continue this arc onwards with the next one. And next reaction will be to episode 20. So getting through it, and I'm excited. So yeah, until next reaction, thanks for watching.